Welcome to our community. Susie Thomas with you this morning. Very happy to welcome back Courtney Hall. We're talking about something completely different than we talked about a couple of years ago, but you have gotten involved or started the Education Connection. Hi, Courtney.
Hi. Thanks for having me.
Courtney, before we get into the Education Connection and the full name of it, let me just ask how you're doing. I'm sure as a busy working mom, you got hit in all kinds of ways at all kinds of levels with this coronavirus.
Yeah, it's been different. My son has been doing really well with adjusting, and luckily my work is flexible. My students, I teach piano, and my students have been flexible with their schedules to allow me to work from home and kind of break up my schedule into small chunks so that I can take care of my son at the same time.
How do you teach? How do you teach piano?
Well.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. But how do you teach piano? How do you make yourself safe and them safe?
We are just doing it over Skype and FaceTime, so all online lessons, and it's been fairly seamless. My students are all making great progress that way.
Wonderful.
And doing really well. I'm really proud of their adjustment.
I kind of think for anyone who teaches anything that this is really double duty. There had to be some retraining, some learning, some tricks of the trade you're picking up to be able to teach online.
Yeah, and in some ways it's helped me grow and become a better teacher. I have to make sure that my instructions verbally are really precise and really clear, which is a really good thing in in-person lessons too. It's helping me kind of refine that skill of being really clear with what I want them to do.
Have you had to buy anything? Has there new equipment involved, or are we able to do everything over the phone right now? Over the phone and a piano, obviously.
Yeah, I kind of updated like my speakers to hook into my iPad and laptop so I could hear them a little bit better than just my speakers on the laptop. Little things like that. But for me personally, nothing huge because I already had a piano here and I was fortunate enough to have technology already. But I know that's not the case for every family.
Right. But thank goodness, and we've said this a million times, as long as we have to go through this, at least we've got the technology to be able to help us. In years past, they would not have been able to do the things that we're able to do and to keep on moving forward because we can. But I love what you said, that you're learning to do some things better. There have been some golden little streams to this cloud, right? There's been a silver lining that's come through. What kinds of things do you think you do better now?
Well, like just being really precise and clear when I explain things to students.
Yes.
And when I give them instructions, when I want them to adjust something. Just finding different ways to say that without showing them. I mean, I can show them a little bit on the video, but they can't see as well as when they're sitting right next to me in person. So just getting my instructions very clear. And then on their side, too, they're refining their listening skills on the other end, too. They have to be able to really focus and comprehend the instructions they're being given. So, of course, that's a really great thing for students to learn as well.
Becoming better listeners is a huge thing and something that maybe we haven't focused on too much in education. I used to work in a college, and I noticed that listening skills kind of went down through the years. This might be making us improve those again. So, again, another silver lining. People are learning how to listen better, you think?
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of a good thing then, I would think. I know that's something I'm always trying to improve myself. Do you see yourself being able to do a recital of any kind, like a Zoom recital or anything like that? Or is that just going to have to wait for another day?
Oh, I think it definitely can be done. In fact, we kind of already did. In June, we always have the Piano-a-thon, which benefits Akron Children's Hospital. And Elaine Thompson created this. It was actually the 20th anniversary of it this year. And I have just been involved for about 5 or 6 years now with her. But usually we perform in the lobby of Akron Children's Hospital the first week of June. But they were forced to come up with a creative solution this year, but they still wanted to hold it. It was such a big year being the 20th anniversary.
Right.
So all of my students recorded YouTube videos, and they uploaded them onto the Akron Children's Piano-a-thon YouTube page. And I thought it was kind of cool because we reached a bigger audience.
Yes.
Anyone across the world could listen to the performances and donate for our Piano-a-thon if they wanted to.
The other nice thing,
just, our local crowd.
Yeah, I know. It's really been something I've seen a lot of these online fundraisers do better than they've ever done before. Or online conferences have more participants than they've ever had before just because you can go from your living room.
Yeah.
Can we still donate? The other nice thing about uploading these fundraisers is they're there forever. Are we able to still go on and donate to it and watch the performances?
Yes, I'm pretty sure it is at least on until the end of July where you can still donate. I'm pretty sure.
So we would go to Akron Children's Hospital's website and find it somewhere?
You know what? If you Google
Perfect.
Akron Children's Piano-a-thon,
Great.
I think it comes right up.
Awesome. We will do that. That's awesome. Okay, Courtney, let's talk about the Education Connection. What is this idea? Where did it come from? So
actually, it kind of started before the virus ever came about. Back in January, I was just in need of childcare for my son, and it became kind of frustrating because I ended up having to go on to some caregiver websites to find someone. And although they're a great resource, they're very expensive. There's 2 different big companies, and they're $35 a month subscriptions just to be able to message people and ask, are you available to babysit? So for a single mom, that's a lot of money for 1 month, and with no guarantee that you're for sure going to find anyone to babysit the time you need. So I just was back then wishing that there was some kind of central place to go to just meet local people and connect with them, to find childcare that was free instead of $35 a month. And I kind of thought, I should start a Facebook group to start that, but just never got around to it until now when I was thinking, wow, there's going to be a lot more parents that need to connect with others. We all need to be helping each other right now through this coming school year. There's a lot of challenging decisions, and so many parents that just have to go to work and they can't stay at home. They need someone else to provide childcare, even if they don't send their child to school.
I've got a couple.
So I thought this was a good opportunity to get on that group.
I've got a couple of questions. Did you say free childcare? What is that?
Oh, well, no, I mean like the free
that you could
group.
Yes. Thank you for clarifying. I thought, Mike, talk about listening skills. Okay. You can be part
free
of
group.
Free
I
group.
didn't have to pay $35 just to contact someone to ask if they were available.
Perfect. Yes. But then you're able to connect with childcare people. Now, how do you safely do that? Is there any kind of background check or anybody that participates? Or how do you make these connections and know that you are connecting with someone who has the best interest of your child in mind?
Well, I think that's kind of up to each individual parent who's connecting, just like it is on the other sites. They don't always do the background check ahead of time. It's kind of up to you to do that. I do have the Facebook group set up to hopefully allow only local residents.
Nice.
Facebook's supposed to automatically accept them if they are listed as living in Stark County.
You bring up such an important point because parents, for one thing, perhaps lost a lot of income while they were home becoming teachers, doing homeschooling with their school-aged children, and not going into work. The thought of that happening again in the fall just, I know, throws everyone into just a tailspin. So to be able to connect with somebody else, now someone willing to become a child caregiver is also kind of saying, I'm also willing to substitute teach. Are they? Because I'm thinking wherever your child goes, that's where they're going to be doing their learning.
Right.
Unless they're face-to-face school.
It inherently, you either have to just help guide them through their online schooling, or if you're wanting to do a homeschool curriculum, you can connect with whatever person fits that match, whichever you want to do. I know my son finishing his preschool year at the end of last school year, he receives occupational therapy, physical therapy, and vision therapy, and we did that all online, and it worked really well. So I personally want to continue that, but for a lot of kids, they still need a parent there. You know, the teacher was working with him, but so was I. I was the hands for that teacher through the computer.
Talking about things going better this way, did you find that maybe you working with your son at the same time the school was working with your son and his teacher, from his classroom teacher working with him, that sounds like almost an ideal situation, as challenging as I'm sure it was. Tell me the good and the challenging parts about it.
Yeah, I think there were definitely both sides. In some regards, I think kids always behave a little bit better for other people than their own parent. So we had days where he was just like, no, because it was me. And his teachers were like, oh, he never did that at school. He was always like this angel. He would never, ever tell us no. He did whatever was asked. Yeah. And I was like, oh, okay, that's not the side that I see most of the time. There was definitely that, and some bribes to get him to finish sessions sometimes.
You know, I figure if it works, then it's right. You know,
yeah.
Then you're doing the right thing if it's working. So yeah, I'm not above bribery.
But, you know, the upside was he was safe because he does have a lot of medical issues. So this virus is a very big concern for us with all of his medical stuff going on. Yeah. So being able to have the peace of mind that I was keeping him safe and lessening our chance of going back to Akron Children's yet again, that made it so worth it being able to do this at home and know that he was staying safe.
I know you began this to be able to address the child care situation, but I'm guessing that maybe some other things are growing out of it, or there's the potential that more things will grow out of it, like parents sharing homeschooling tips or things, as you say, to be able to get them to behave as well at home as they apparently do at school. Do you find that that's coming along out of this, or is that an outgrowth of what you've started here?
Yeah, and I kind of wanted this to be open-ended, more like a classified section, just to list what you need, what you can provide. And like I just started this a few days ago, so there's not a ton of people in the group yet, but we already have some posts of people offering their advice that have homeschooling experience in the past, who are just there to answer any questions. I have a couple posts of people willing to tutor. So even if they're not available to provide childcare, there's still other options. If you just need a tutor, because we all have our strengths and weaknesses, you know, we may be strong in one subject, but feel really uncomfortable teaching our child in a different subject. And so I like that people are already offering their expertise to just help in certain areas and tutor as well.
Oh, that's why I jumped on this. I think you're really onto something. I think this is something parents have needed when out of the blue, you've started off a brand new year, 2020, things are rolling along. It looks like, oh, great new year, starting a new decade, kind of, or finishing up an old one, however you look at 2020. But suddenly, parents are finding themselves with a complete different job description than they started the year. And we're going to get more into that after these words. You're listening to Our Community. Welcome back to Our Community. Susie Thomas visiting with Courtney Hall. She is a local piano teacher who has begun a Facebook group, really, called, tell me the whole entire name, because I just kind of nicknamed it the Education Connection.
Yeah, it is Stark County, Ohio, Education Connections Through the Pandemic.
Yes, much longer name, but yours really tells what it is. And so is your plan to stop this once we get the all clear, or do you think this is something that will continue?
Yeah, I don't know yet. I think it may be a really valuable resource to continue for just childcare connections after we are past this, or just providing resources for sharing tips like you mentioned a few minutes ago. Things like that.
It certainly is something. It's just perfect for such a time as this. Just some way to connect with other parents, really when you need it. From your perspective, Courtney, what do you think the future of homeschooling looks like? Do you kind of think, oh, there were so many good things, I'd like to continue some of this in some way? Or do you think, wow, I cannot wait for him to get back into the classroom?
I personally have always been a big supporter of public schools and still am. I am thankful that they are offering different options. And I was pleased with our online, our little piece of the end of the last school year where we worked online. Right. I was pleased with that and how the teachers adapted. But I do hope that eventually he can go back into public school.
I'm sure
return to his classroom.
He must miss his
friends. He likes playing with his friends.
Yes.
But, socialization is such a huge aspect of school. I think with this group, being able to connect to other parents, the kids that are staying home, the parent may still feel comfortable with them socializing in really small groups of kids. So that's another possibility here, to connect with the kids their age in just small, safe groups instead of in a large classroom.
Oh, what a great idea. Yeah, just some play dates could come out of this.
Yeah. And as well as teachers, I'm really wondering how many teachers may end up not going back to their classrooms this year because they're not comfortable with such a large group of kids. I know our school groups are being cut down in the upper levels, but the elementary school levels are still supposed to go 5 days a week. So it's going to be kind of the same typical sized classroom minus the kids that choose not to enroll in the in-person class.
I'm a former teacher, and I'm having a hard time understanding how in the world they're going to make this work. But, ingenuity, it's amazing what they've put together, where people almost, in some districts, have 3 options. They either go in face-to-face in school or stay home with their same teacher, doing double duty with online or recorded lessons or live streaming lessons, or take advantage of digital academies. So they've got some school systems have 3 choices. So I know that will cut down on the number in the class. But I think, oh my goodness, those teachers are doing 3 jobs now. And in a perfect world, being a teacher is a hard job. So, our hats, let's just take a moment and do a shout out to all you teachers. Oh my goodness, God bless you. So you think that possibly some teachers might join the Education Connection and offer their wonderful expertise at the same time? Is that a goal?
Yeah, and there may be some teachers out there who are comfortable with just, 3 to 5 kids that they're teaching like a sort of homeschool type of curriculum, or just guiding them through their online classes instead of going back to their large class. I know there's so many people with autoimmune diseases and just a lot of health problems in our world that they might feel comfortable with a really small group, but not a large group of kids. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of a opportunity there as well.
I don't want to ask anything you don't want to answer. So if you don't want to answer this, just say so. How are you doing with the mask situation, having a wonderful son with some special needs? That might be a bit of a tougher one.
So he has so many appointments at Akron Children's and a lot of medical trauma. So he just turned 4 in June, and every time we go to an appointment, he just is so terrified when we enter into the hallway to go back to an exam room. And he has actually been very, very terrified of masks in our appointments, like in years prior. So it was kind of funny when we needed to go out for the first time. We did a lot of grocery pickup at first to avoid going in, but eventually it was like, okay, I really need to just run in this store. And shopping is what he loves, like most out of the entire world. He just loves to go shopping. So one day I said, well, we need to run into the store really quick, but you have to wear your mask. We just have to get over this fear. It's not scary. And of course, we had talked about it a lot leading up to this. I had tried practicing at home, and he would put it on for like maybe 3 seconds and then be like, okay, all done.
Yeah.
But when I just kind of gave him the ultimatum of, look, if you want to go in the store with mommy, you have to wear this mask, he was like, okay. It was enough motivation because that's what he loved. So he did it. We ran in, just grabbed milk, went straight to the checkout and back out. So like 2-minute trip.
Wow.
And he was so proud of himself. Of course, I praised him about how good he did and how it wasn't scary. And like after that, he was fine with it. It just took that 1-2-minute trip just for him to gain the confidence of, oh, yeah, I can do this, and it's not so scary after all. And he has worn that mask with pride ever since. He's so great at it now. It just took a little practicing and talking about it.
It's so wonderful. You know what I wish someone would do? I have a 4-year-old grandson as well. I wish someone would invent a superhero-looking mask, so that when they put it on, they become, Batman or Superman or somebody, because he loves wearing those masks. He loves dressing up like, Batman or Captain America. Make a face covering out of that. I wish somebody would do that.
Yeah. Oh, and I should mention, I did hand sew his mask with some puppy fabric because he loves puppies. So I needed something else that motivated him that he would like wearing. So he has his little puppy mask.
I think those are great ideas for another, mom or dad or grandparent who their child is not into putting the mask on, especially now that there's a mandate. So, oh my, the times in which we live. You're a teacher, Courtney. How did you juggle teaching other children and teaching your son at home?
Well, I just, like I mentioned earlier, my students were super flexible, so I ended up just kind of adjusting my work schedule so that I teach in like 1-hour chunks all throughout the day instead of like 4 hours at once. It's just split up into little 1-hour chunks. And he has done so well as long as he has his cookie for a snack while I teach. So I usually get a movie set up for him and give him his cookies, and then he is so content, and he waits for me to finish my lesson and then comes down and says, okay, now let's play. So we just kind of go back and forth between a small chunk of work and then taking care of him, playing.
That's just
back
good.
and forth.
I think that's a good word for all of us. Just divide things up into manageable chunks, and a movie and a cookie, and all is right with the world. That sounds really good. Back to Education Connection. How can people become involved? Who is this for, and how do they get involved, and what can they look forward to gaining from it?
So you can search on Facebook for Stark County, Ohio Education Connections Through the Pandemic, or the direct web address is facebook.com/groups/Stark Education Connections. And it's really for anyone who has anything to offer or needs help, either end. We can think of it kind of just as the classifieds for childcare and education through this school year. So teachers, tutors, parents, just kind of post whatever you're in need of or anything you have to offer.
And you're talking, it's an open group. This is not a closed group. You're not asked a quiz of questions in order to be accepted, correct?
I think, there are just a few questions to join the group, just to try to keep it safe and keep it only with local people.
Smart.
But yeah, just kind of basic things there.
Okay. But it is open. It's an open group.
Yeah, you just click to join, and most people have just been automatically accepted through the Facebook requirements. And just a few people, I think if you don't list your city on your Facebook profile, then it asks me to approve it.
Mm-hmm. Perfect. And that keeps it local. Courtney, I'm thinking, though, as I'm talking to you, that there would be so many other communities that could benefit from something like this. Any thought of maybe putting out some kind of a podcast or something to teach other people how you did it and how you got it started? Because it seems like in just a few days, it's grown quite a bit.
Yeah, I haven't really thought about that yet. But, I just kind of created the group and then went to a few other local groups and asked them, hey, would you share this information? And invited my own friends on the page. And yeah, just hoping people share the information to get the word out, because connections only work if it's getting to a lot of people.
That's it. That was such an unfair question, too, because you just started it. Who can expect you to franchise it already? But I just think somebody ought to pick this up, and every community needs one. It's just a wonderful idea. Tell me again the entire name, and do people need to type in that entire name in Facebook to be able to be taken to the right place?
I think if you just type Stark County, Ohio Education, it kind of narrows it down and it'll pop up in the suggestions. But the full name is Stark County, Ohio Education Connections Through the Pandemic.
Through the Pandemic. Well, it's a wonderful idea. Be sure to go up there, get into Facebook, check it out. Courtney Hall, thank you so much for bringing this to our community.
Thank you.